那欢迎来参加今天台大我的学思历程。那我们知道这个我的学思历程呢是台大最prestigious 的一个演讲系列。那每个学期呢都只办很少的一个场次。那我们都邀请在领域上的翘楚来跟我们分享他的学思历程以及经验专业跟看法。那今天因为疫情的关系呢，我们以线上来进行。那今天的演讲我们非常荣幸邀请到美国 UIUC 就是伊利诺大学 Urbana-Champaign 的丁冠中教授来给我们演讲。那接下来呢，我就简单的介绍一下丁冠中教授。那丁冠中教授呢，在台湾大学获得学士学位，那美国的肯塔基大学获得硕士学位，那 UIUC 就是 Urbana-Champaign 获得这个博士学位，那都是在农业工程的一个领域。那之后呢，丁教授在美国很多学术单位服务包括Houston 就是休斯顿大学，Rutgers 就是 New Jersey 的 Rutgers University 跟 OSU Ohio State。那之后到UIUC Urbana-Champaign 担任教授跟系主任的重要工作。那其后呢，也到浙江大学跟 UIUC 的联合学院担任教授，以及担任浙江大学国际联合学院的副院长。那他同时也是很多重要工作的一个参与者，那包含美国这个ASABE Foundation 的董事等。那丁教授的研究领域主要是在生物加工跟生产系统、农业系统、资讯及分析、自动化等领域。那在他专业呢，获得非常多的荣誉那包括这个 ASABE 的全球卓越贡献奖，Kentucky 生物系统与农业工程系的终身成就奖等等。那同时也是这个 ASABE James and Karen 居里学术领导奖的得奖者，那也是美国工程学会的 Fellow 跟美国农业与生物工程学会的 Fellow。那今天这个丁教授的演讲我看了他的这个投影片那其实是非常的有启发性。那是题目是世界性的学思能力那内容非常丰富。我想这个without further ado, please join me to welcome Professor Casey Ting, please.
Also, good evening, everyone. It is wonderful to see all of you online. I know this is a challenging time to meet when all of you have many other things to deal with. I deeply appreciate your interest and willingness to take time out of your busy schedule to exchange some thoughts on a topic that may not be at the top of your to do and to think list recently. I was told that it's appropriate to remove my mask. Maybe that will transmit my voice a little better. Okay, so it is quite an honor for me to be invited to share my thoughts and interact with all of you as part of National Taiwan University's 我的学思历程 seminar series. Also, I thank you very much for allowing me to deliver this presentation discussion in English. If I do it in Chinese, Mandarin, it will take me twice as long. So I don't want to make this evening longer than necessary. So from looking at the past speakers of this series, I feel very humbled to be able to be here to conduct this session. All the speakers before me have truly been outstanding and highly accomplished in their chosen fields and professions. I'm an ordinary person trying to learn and think, 学and思, to the best of my ability, and hopefully, along the way, help others to succeed in some ways and generate some positive impact to the society. You are making me very special this evening by allowing me to share some well-known common sense. What I'm going to say tonight should be common sense to many of you, except from a different angle. I hope the common sense will be helpful in one's journey of learning and thinking. And so, as I said, I appreciate very much today. I'm also especially excited to be on this campus, spending an evening in this way, 50 years after my graduation from National Taiwan University. This year, my class celebrates the 50th years after graduation. So it's a special pleasure to be here. I have prepared some slides that I will show during my presentation. As an engineering professor, it is not easy for me to speak without slides, as you know. Sometimes the slides are more for me than for you, so please bear with me. I hope to be able to go through my prepared speech relatively quickly and leave ample time for us to interactively exchange our thoughts. So let's get started. So when I was invited to make this presentation, I was pondering about what kind of things I can really say that will be interesting to people and be useful to students and maybe colleagues. So based on my experience working in the, I have been in the US for 47 years. I'll show a little bit of my journey of my learning and thinking. So I came up with this thought about, let's talk about global environment and how academic success need to be empowered by intelligence so we can function well in this global environment. So I know tonight is not about me, but I think it's appropriate to start with my journey, since it's the journey of thinking and learning. So I had a very humble beginning. I was born in Pingtung, Taiwan, but my family moved to Taipei when I was 3-4 months old. So I spent my whole life until year 25 of age in Taipei. So I have been staying in school almost all my life after 5 years old, okay, including 7 universities. Okay, then I will show what they are. So I was not a very good student when I was, well, let's start with my journey from my college years. So I was not a very, even when I was in high school or middle school, I was not a hard working student, okay, let's put it that way. So I always try to find a way to learn proactively and efficiently without spending too much time studying. So maybe that's not a good model, but that's just me, okay. So, but after graduation from National Taiwan University, one letter changed my life. A letter from an advisor at the University of Kentucky who wrote me a letter offering me a $400 per month assistantship to go study under him. So, because I came from middle class, not very well-to-do family. So without that scholarship, assistantship, I could not have had the opportunity to actually go abroad. Okay, so that letter actually changed my life. And then after I finished my master's degree from the University of Kentucky, another letter that prepared me for life. That's from University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. Another professor actually offered me another letter, $400 a month, no pay increase after 2 years. So I went to study for a Ph.D. I really opened up my thinking. Maybe it's just the process of growth, you know. All of a sudden, when I was studying at the University of Illinois, I started to love academia. For some reason I didn't know. I'll get into that later. But for some reason, all of a sudden, whatever I learned, I was able to put them together to get new meaning out of it. So that is a very important formative period of my professional life. So one letter from University of Illinois totally prepared for whatever I have been able to do in the last 40-some years. Okay, so after graduation from Illinois, I had opportunities to have a full faculty career, and I have been enjoying it thoroughly, every second of it. So I taught many courses. I conducted sponsored research on many challenging topics. Okay, it's from agricultural production to how to make agricultural food systems smarter, wiser, all the way to how to study the whole system of biomass to bioenergy production, how to study how to put astronauts on Mars and support their lives. We had a project with NASA, just like the movie, The Martian, the movie. We actually study how to grow agriculture on Mars, so to support crew members exploring the space. So also I had been given opportunity to serve and provide some leadership for universities, professional societies, industries, governments, public, international partnership, and also participate in some academic development activities. So that's basically my whole career of 40, 50 years. And also I had opportunity to assist in the development of peers and peer institutions. I don't know how many letters of recommendations I have written for graduate students, for colleagues to apply for faculty position, even administrative position, and also for recommending awards, applications and competitions. So there's so many letters I've written, and then I have people have sought my advice in terms of how to develop their own career. I'm not an extremely successful person, but as a professor, you know, if you give us an opportunity to speak, we never miss the opportunity. We always give you some answers. So I just like to help people. So also, this is done globally. I have been to many, many universities all over the world, helping, reviewing, advising, developing curriculum and all that. I also have participated in creating mobility opportunities, moving students around, faculty, staff exchange, students, faculty, and staff globally. Okay, when I was representing universities in the U.S., I was working with National Taiwan University, universities in Europe, in China, everywhere, Japan, Korea, to help people move, students especially, exchange. We call them mobility. Also promote international collaboration. I was involved in establishing, helping, developing international collaboration in some small ways, but I have done that. So eventually I found several words which are very important. I think our profession in academia, the reason why we love our profession, because we empower. We empower people, all kinds of people, with knowledge and wisdom. That's what basically an academic profession, I think, in my opinion, should do. We empower people with knowledge and wisdom. And I'll get into that a little bit. And what else? There are many other things. Of course, it's not easy to do this in 5 minutes, to talk about a 50-year journey. That's not easy, but I think that's enough about me. So let's get into something that I want to talk about. Talking about collaboration internationally, this is a very nice historical photo. This is a major step between the collaboration of 农学院, it's BRA, right? Bioresource and Agriculture BRA, the college of NTU, and it's the College of Agriculture, Consumer and Environmental Sciences, ACES, of UIUC, University of Urbana-Champaign. So the two gentlemen sitting in the front, these were two Tings. Ting Chen, he became how do you call that, chair of Council of Agriculture, and Easter, yellow tie, he was the Dean of Agriculture, Consumer and Environmental Sciences at UIUC. So when Ting Chen brought a delegation of NTU College of Agriculture and Bioresource and Agriculture, 12 faculty delegation to our campus, and we hosted. I was standing somewhere much younger. You see, you probably don't recognize me. This was you can see some familiar faces here. You have. I apologize. I probably don't remember all the names from NTU delegation, 12 of them, but I know the 丁世同教务长, 袁孝伟国际长, and then the dean, current dean of BRA, 卢院长. I saw him this afternoon. It was a pleasure. And then Chen Siming, he was from the department I graduated. And then there's Wang Yalan, I recognize. Is she associate? Is she still associate dean of?
She was
associate dean.
She became a minister for 考试.
Oh, okay. See, all the people. Well, just to say that and there are others. I'm sorry, Ting Jiao was out. Well, you were much younger too. So we were all young at once, at one time. Okay, so I just want to mention that, of course, Ting Chen became the equivalent to Minister of Agriculture and Council of Agriculture. And then Easter, the yellow tie person, the two of them became very good friends. And later on he became Chancellor of University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. He became president of the whole University of Illinois system over 3 campuses. So many people accept the gray-haired person on the other side with the red tie. All the other people became very, very successful. You can see from that photo, and it's a very interesting photo I found in my computer. I always treasure this experience in the past. So my journey. I started out from National Taiwan University, starting from college years. I came here to study, and then I went to, actually, after military service, I came back to the National Taiwan University. I served as a technician, helping teaching in the lab for over a year at the then Agriculture Engineering Department, 农工系农机组, okay, 农机工厂, okay, and then I went to, so I was an employee of National Taiwan University too. Maybe I still have my sort of certificate or something, I don't know. But then I went to University of Kentucky to study my master's degree, and then I went to UIUC for my Ph.D. And then after that, I went to University of Houston and to start my faculty career. And then I went to Rutgers University, I went to the Ohio State University, and then went back 24 years after my graduation from UIUC. I had an opportunity to go back to my alma mater, UIUC. And then during that time, Zhejiang University was building its 7th campus called International Campus from a ground up, from an 80-hectare farm. And they asked me to help. So for a while, I was going in between UIUC and International Campus for 4 or 5 years. So that's my, and now I'm back to mostly UIUC in Champaign, Urbana. So a couple interesting records I have held uniquely. One is that at Houston, UIUC, Rutgers, Ohio State, I was faculty at those 4 campuses. I served as department chair or head. So every place I serve as faculty, I serve also department head or chair. Also, I serve as department head or chair through all the ranks. When I was assistant professor at University of Houston, the dean came to me and said, "You be chair tomorrow." So I become chair. So Illinois, associate professor, full professor. So all ranks, I serve as department head and chair. So of course, when I went to Zhejiang University, I was professor and vice dean of that campus. So it's sort of interesting fact, but it's nothing big deal, but it's just interesting. Okay, so about today's discussion and presentation. So how do we succeed in the global environment, especially in academic environment? So I call it success intelligence, the intelligence that help you succeed. Okay, it's called success intelligence. So there are so many of those, so much information. Within the time limit, I selected some of the things I think we can highlight and talk about. I hope they will be somewhat helpful to some of you, if not all of you, so we can spend these 2 hours together very productively. Well, the reason why we need to succeed in a global environment is that if you look at from the global environment we live in, you understand now and the future, it's going to be more global and more global. Holistic educational experience you need international activities to make your education more complete, okay, holistic. Personal professional skills, okay. If you are able to function in the global environment, you will have to have some personal and professional skills, very important. And on the other hand, if you don't have international experience, there will be opportunity cost, minus, not positive, negative opportunity cost to you because you missed that opportunity and it will cost you in terms of your career or experience. And then I want to get into some of the things I picked as success intelligence. What are they? There are many. I think these 5 things came to the top of my list as something valuable. To be able to analyze things at the system level is very important. Global is a system. Collaboration is very important. Talking about international collaboration, teamwork, okay, very important. Not grand challenges, big problems today cannot be solved by one single PI or single researcher or single person. So leadership and collaboration cannot be isolated because to conduct good collaboration activities, you need to have good leadership. And to have good leadership, you have to experience good collaboration experience. Planning for the future is always very important. I know my experience, many of them, some of them are outdated. You know, you look at a gray-haired person who has graduated from a college 50 years later. So a lot of things are, you know, I admit, quite old-fashioned thinking. But I think as long as we know how to look forward, how to plan for the future, I think we can always stay young, okay, because you have something to look forward to. Graduate advisor-advisee relationship. I understand there will be undergraduate students going to graduate schools. There will be graduate students already here experiencing this relationship. There will be faculty, especially early career faculty, interested in knowing. I get a lot of questions how to deal with situations between advisors and advisees. Okay, and I think that's worth sharing. And of course, I will have some closing remarks quickly. So I will move very quickly now. If you have any questions, I hope there will be many questions. Please feel free to send the questions. And during the Q&A, we can use any language, not any language, between English and Mandarin or Chinese, we can do that. Okay, that's much easier than making the presentation to me. Okay, so first of all, why we need to worry about how to function, work, live, enjoy the global environment? Because the environment we live in is very global. You look at all the commercial products, you pick up any product, it may come from 2 dozens of countries, even an iPhone or a smartphone. It's a very global environment. Customer service, you call, especially I don't know about Taiwan, in the US, you call someone to help you fix your laptop. You talk to someone in India because there's a call center. So it's, you know, especially, for example, today you may be in Africa listening in. No, you don't have to be here on the campus with NTU. I can serve you. I can present information to you anywhere. Education is very global, hopefully. Entertainment is very global. You look at all those drama and all those shows, right? It's very global. There's no, without borders. Okay, professionals without borders. There are doctors without borders, engineers without borders. There are organizations that serve all over the world by volunteering their skills and techniques. Science, engineering, technology, definitely without borders. So, and there are many more. That's why there are many dots that it's impossible for us to cover today. Holistic educational experience with international activities. Okay, so why international activities are important in experiencing holistic education. Appreciate diverse culture. You cannot avoid it. If you go international, you go global, you cannot avoid diverse culture. That's the way the world is made up. Okay, enjoy new ways of learning. Okay, everybody learns differently. Every culture, every environment, every campus, every society learns differently. But hopefully you enjoy those new ways of learning. Establish global partnership. You meet friends, you network. Creating network is so important in international activities. And these are huge resources. Networks, huge resources. Experience world-class education. We talk about, we are delivering world-class education to our students without going to the world, to see the world. How do you justify that? So if you need to be able to bring world experience, global experience to the world-class education programs. Learn and practice foreign language, very important, right? When you travel, today, we still cannot communicate by only the emoji, you call it, by only the pictures, smiling, and that's not sufficient. We still need to learn how to speak different languages. One day, maybe we can just symbolic all the languages into something purely simple, but not today. You still have to learn foreign language, understand issues of global impact. If you don't talk to people from all corners of the world, it's very hard to understand what's on people's mind. So a lot of global issues will come out from your activities. Okay, so that's why. So there are some certain skills. These are all my personal, very subjective view of what kind of things you need to have in order to function in a global environment. Communication, interpersonal communication, people to people, and to a group like this. Okay, when you give a lecture, when you persuade, lectures have meanings of explanation, persuasion, or sell something, market something. But you need to communicate in a proper way. Cultural understanding, okay, very important, because people will come from different cultures, and you need to respect that, you need to understand that. You don't have to agree or you don't have to practice that, but you need to understand, respect. Diplomacy, very important. Diplomatic skills are very important because protocols, there are certain protocols we just have to understand before we embed ourselves into that environment. Etiquette, very important. Okay, there are certain generally acceptable behaviors we know, even in the classroom, right? We expect people to know that and practice problem solving. Okay, so we are here to solve problems. Okay, our biggest job is to solve problems. Therefore, ability to solve problems, especially international problems, you really need a lot of skills to help solve. Look at the world today. You don't have to give too many examples. We know problem solving is a big problem, and then there are some people who are put to solve problems do not seem they're able to solve the problems. So that's the problem. So hopefully our students, you are the future, and we are counting on you to bring solutions to problems locally and globally. Team building and learning, no doubt. You know, you go out, you know your colleagues all over the world, and you can build teams, and you can learn together, and you can lead them. Even better if we train global leaders, not just the people who can function in a global environment. We like NTU to train people, students, or now or in the future, to be able to lead in solving problems, addressing global issues, and establish global relationships. Okay, now on the opposite side, okay, sometimes people need to see if you don't have international global experience, what kind of opportunity cost? What kind of cost will be to you? Okay, so lack of international experience in person and in professional life, personal and personal. This lack of experience is very negative. It will grow in importance in the future because a lot of recruiters coming to our university, like Illinois campuses, to recruit future students. They bring up international experience as one of the discussion point. Okay, if you don't have anything, when the interviewer asks you the question, what do you do? What do you say? So you will not be able to put this on your resume. Okay, and not that superficially, not that anything superficial is important, but behind that is that more and more companies are going global. Society is going global. They need people who have global experience to be able to help their company grow. Missing life-changing experience. I have a story to tell. Many years ago, after that meeting of that picture, quickly the BRA college at NTU, under all the leadership of people sitting here and other people are not here, we developed a cultural experience, diversity and cultural experience program by bringing a dozen students from College of ACES, agriculture is called ACES, from Illinois every summer to come here, joining with a dozen, one-to-one, almost match of NTU students. You go through a whole week-long journey through Taiwan to look at diversity, natural diversity and culture, learning how to write. That experience is very important. The first session, I came with the 12 students from UIUC. I even provided from my department 2 full funding to my 2 students to come here. Air ticket, everything we covered, just to encourage them. And one student I remember very clearly, he traveled with me all the way from Champaign to Taipei. Okay, so when we went to an airport, small airport, start out with a small airport, we checked in, we went through all this security checkpoint. He was watching me every step of the way, close to me, watching me how to do things. And after we entered to the waiting area for the flight, I asked him, why were you paying so much attention to every step I did? He said, I never flew. He was a junior or a senior. He never flew in his life. So it was the first time to get on an airplane. So he watched me how to go through the airport. And then we had to go from Bloomington because the flight, Bloomington is only 50 miles from Urbana-Champaign. So flying from Bloomington to Chicago, 30 minutes. So we went, and then after we got off the airplane from Chicago to change to another flight to Tokyo, okay. He said, it's nothing, 30 minutes. What's the big deal? He said, wow, it's easy. The next flight, we flew from Chicago to Tokyo. That was a 13 hours flight. He was sitting there. After we got off the airplane into because Chicago, you see the people just like US, right? So once we got off Tokyo, into Tokyo airport, he told me, Professor Ting, I sat there without moving an inch for 12 hours. The whole world changed. He didn't move right on my seat. The whole world changed. All Japanese people, all Asian. Oh, that's a life-changing experience that we brought to our students. At that point, I knew I succeeded in something. So then the next flight to Taiwan, so he thoroughly enjoyed. That trip was very interesting. Out of 12 students, 11 female students, 1 boy. He was the only boy in the group. He thoroughly enjoyed the experience. After that, he took all the opportunity to study abroad. So he went to South Africa, he went to many countries. Just that opened up all his life. Okay, so I hope, I don't have to mention the name, but he's very successful. He was a 4.0 GPA student, never flew before junior year or sophomore year. So that was very, very interesting. Okay, so now, so next thing is not getting complete educational experience while studying in a university. Okay, so holistic education requires international experience, not having the advantage of accessing global resources. Go international connection, I already mentioned. I'll repeat some of this because all these things are a system interacted together. Global resources potentially have narrow views on issues. We know that. Okay, before I went to study abroad, I always told my student, you go to study abroad for 3 months, you feel that, oh, it's long, it's difficult. I did a study abroad 47 years. I went to study, and I didn't realize I had to be there for 47 years. So it's a long study abroad. It's the same thing when I was teaching something using calculus on the board. Professor Ting, I learned my calculus 3 years ago. Now I'm a senior. I learned that in freshman. So it's so difficult. Why do you make it so difficult? I say, Mr. or Mrs. Miss, I learned my calculus 30 years ago. I'm still teaching it. So, it's very interesting interacting with the students, okay? So they are very nice. I love students, sometimes they make you think, okay, and feel the meaning of life. If we just live through, we experience a lot, okay, many years, especially at my age, but you need to reflect from people. You need to see how, when you say something, how people react to you. That really means something. Okay, so I really appreciate the people who are sitting here. Otherwise, I don't know how to do this for this long. Okay, now let's quickly talk about some of the things that I feel they have helped me tremendously in my thinking. The list is very long. I picked 5 of them because I could only find in PowerPoint, I could find only 5 errors. I'm not very good at making PowerPoint, so I did not know how to create more errors. So I said, okay, you give me 5 errors, I put 5 items on this list. That's good for the audience, so you don't have to be bored by me the whole evening. Okay, systems approach, very important. You know, we have been trained to do very focused learning. Okay, if I learn physiology, I study physiology. I learn, calculus, I learn calculus. But when I went to University of Illinois, the reason why it opened up my mind was I took 2 courses from an excellent professor in mechanical engineering. He taught systems engineering. He taught me, or the whole class, how to think at the system level. I'll explain what system means. And that really opened my way of looking at things in learning, thinking. 学思 really opened up my mind. So there are values when you think a system instead of just individual parts of a system. Collaboration, so important. Leadership, very important. These are all leaders. And then all of you are watching, if you're still watching and paying attention to your monitor when I speak, you are all future leaders. And we count on you to make this world much better. Okay, planning for the future. Okay. Leadership requires vision. Okay, and vision requires the ability to plan for the future. And then the last one threw in because I think it may be interesting in academics. Graduate, advisor, advisee relationship, and it's if you decide to go to education beyond a bachelor degree, you cannot avoid this. Okay, everyone will have graduate advisor advisee relationship. Either you are an advisee or you become an advisor. Okay, so this relationship for academia is so important, so core to the success of graduate education. Okay, so I threw that in just for the fun of it. Okay, now let's quickly go through one of them. I don't want to bore you too much. I want to leave a lot of time. Systems approach. Okay, it's a critical and creative thinking technique. We always say we need to teach our students how to think critically, how to think creatively. And there are many ways to do that. This is not the only way. But I think system approach should be part of training. Okay, how to think. Okay, how do we do that? Okay, this thing itself is a whole semester 3 credit hour course. But I shrunk it down to only 2 slides, 1 or 2, maybe it's just 2 slides. Okay, so let's define the system first before we explain what that is. It's very simple. A group of components, they interrelated to each other. Okay, this classroom is a system. We hopefully are related to each other through learning and exchange information. And this building is part of the classroom. Building, people, chairs, video, camera, my slides, they are all parts of this system for tonight. Okay, we have to interact. Otherwise, if we only show slides, we have nobody listening. That's not a system to accomplish. So we need to have different components, can be software, hardware, people, or physical objects. They are interrelated together. They function and behave in certain ways. Okay, you sit there for now, but later on you will speak and I'll answer. So we interrelate in certain way, listen, and then I transmit some information to serve certain purposes. As an engineer, there are many systems meet the definition of interrelated components, but if they don't serve any purpose, we're not interested. We want to create something that serves some purpose for a reason. So we hopefully today we are here. It's learning and thinking ourselves. 学思 tonight is not just the journey itself. Tonight is ing. It's happening. I hope 学思 is happening tonight. Otherwise, I'm not doing my good job. Okay, so hopefully it's happening tonight. Normally under certain constraints because we don't have unlimited resources. Okay, all the administrators understand this. Okay, you have limited how to deploy resources constraint. Okay, and in external influences, you have bosses, you have clients, you have students. Every time they come to you asking for something. So there are external influence. They all try to persuade you to make decisions in a certain way. So that's the concept of a system. Okay, so basically everything is a system based on that, except a trash can. Okay, we throw all the garbage in there. That's not a system because there are things together, but they don't interrelate. They just ad hoc. They're together. Okay, system and component, they are relative terms. A system can be a component of a larger system. Okay, for example, a car. Engine is a system because engine, you have many parts. Engine itself is that create power for the car, but it's also a component of the whole car. So a system can be a component of a bigger system, and a component can be a system for smaller parts. So understand there are relative terms, okay? But you have to design it. You have to define it. Without defining the scope of system, you cannot analyze it. So you have to define what you are analyzing. Okay, very important concept of system. So what do we mean by system thinking? Okay, so it's a holistic approach, taking the whole thing into consideration. Not only understand individual parts, we understand how they interrelate and how they change each other to perform in a higher goal. Like NTU is a system, right? You have the colleges, you have all the departments, right? They are components of NTU system. Okay, so you have to understand how each unit function. Not only you have to understand once you have a policy, how impact interrelationship. One department is doing something very well, maybe creating problem for other department. Okay, people don't realize that. Okay, oh, I have solved my problem. No, you transfer your problem to other parts of the system. So that's the system thinking, very important. So, for example, individually functioning components, even if every department is excellent. For example, NBA, every player, 5 players on the court playing basketball, you seldom the team is winning because of individual performance are very good only. It's a team that makes it work. Okay, so you can have the best. For example, you go to build a car. If I ask students to build a car without limitation, you go to a parts store, you can pick up the parts you want and build your car. If you pick a very big engine and a small car body, two are best, but they don't work into a car. So you have to understand, individually functioning component do not necessarily make up a whole system. Very important. But you have to understand why they don't make up. How do you make up the functional whole? Even understanding of each component doesn't automatically make you understand the whole system. You understand all the colleges, but when you put college together to deliver 共通学科, you have to worry about. How do you understand how each course you deliver impacting different colleges? See, so even you understand each college very well, doesn't mean the course you created and make every college to take will be good for all the colleges. So that's why you have to analyze at that level interactions. Also, the last one is very important for researchers. That's where we identify researchable questions. A lot of times, people ask me, how do I know what is good problem to conduct research on? I say, take a system approach, analyze what's in the field today, what has been worked on. And then if you see missing pieces, that knowledge or that component is required to help the system work, then that's a researchable topic. That means if it's critical to the function of the whole system, but yet there's no knowledge yet. And that's where you identify. So missing pieces, missing components can be identified by conducting system approach and find which part is missing. Then you spend your resource, discover, addressing the problems, provide solutions, then you make the whole system work. So that's how you identify researchable questions. Okay, that's very important. And this is a little technical now. The reason why, and there's a help today. A lot of computational power can go into this kind of analysis. But the idea is, it's always good to have in your mind a concurrent analysis platform. Today you can put this as computing system, but in our brain is a concurrent analysis platform, no doubt. You invite your colleagues, your classmates out to dinner tonight, assuming you're generous, okay? So then you have a concurrent analysis platform in your mind. Who do I invite? How much money I want to spend? What kind of dishes do I order? If I order all soups for 12 people, that's not very good, right? So you analyze this whole event as a system. Then you start to find better solutions or workable solutions. We'll get into that. Okay, so concurrent analysis platform is very, concurrent means thinking many things together. Okay, and then specifically, technically, you have informatics, information part. You need to know something before you can analyze. You need to define your scope of a system. You need to define system scope and objectives. Very important, because if you define this differently, you get different answers. Okay, what kind of things will be involved in this system scope? Objectives, what kind of end results I want to achieve with this system? If I invite people to dinner, what kind of end objective? I want everybody to eat nutritional food, balanced food. I want to spend the least amount of money, still make everybody happy. That's a constraint. So these are the different, you have to think. Without defining that, nothing can start. Once you define that, then these are the helpful things, right? Information, analysis, and there are many technical terms you learn, machine learning, IoT, these are dealing with this. And then decision support, physical, cyber physical, these are, in the end, the most important thing is make decisions, provide support for decisions. You may not be the people making decisions, but you need to help people who are making decisions to make decisions. Okay, and then there's different levels, right? Many people working at this level, that's planning. Okay, the higher you go, the more you do this strategic level, it's planning. And then implementation is tactical. Okay, how do you implement? Who do you invite to work on? What kind of specific project you work on? And then operational, every day, every morning, managers, team managers today, every day I need to go through today. That's different from implementation, different from planning. But all these are important to map to each other. Hopefully whatever we do here will map back to the planning. Your purpose will have to be communicated and translated down to the, it's not down, up, to the people who will execute every day. If what they do will not help the plan, then you need to go through this system analysis to decide where it goes wrong. Okay, so that's very interesting concept, but so far we can only talk about that this much. Hopefully some questions will come. Collaboration, very important. Collaboration is a system thinking itself, because when you collaborate, you have many components. All the people you collaborate with will become a system. Okay, very important. I have a paper published on this subject, system approach to collaboration. That's very nice flow. Okay, so if you need this article, I can point you to who can provide you that. I even have a Chinese translation of this article. Professor Wei Fan from Fang Wei, from bio, I have to say it right, biomechatronics engineering department. He actually translated this article into Chinese. Okay, hopefully he's willing to share if you need a Chinese version. Okay, so just one or two slides. Again, we don't have much time tonight, but every of this topic actually came from a whole presentation. Every of these five, many other. So encourage communication. Without communication, the team just collapses. Okay, create vision. Okay, a leader needs to have vision. People don't afraid of changing too much, but people are more concerned if you don't know where you are changing me to. So if you can communicate that clearly, create a vision that people can buy in, the persuasion power will be higher. Okay, make decisions. Okay, teams need to make decisions. If you don't make decisions, you don't move on. Okay, maybe in the future slide, but I will say that now. There are situations, especially in academia, especially someone like me, like to analyze. Okay, analysis and action, they have to be balanced. If you just do a lot of analysis without actions, no short-term wins. So, 10 years later we'll accomplish this, but you have to wait for 10 years to see anything. Analysis without action, okay, that's not going to work. Actions without analysis, that's not going to work. That's dangerous. Okay, so this is a Chinese philosophy. Analysis without action is 有谋无勇。一大堆谋略，不知道怎么去。这个 action without analysis is 有勇无谋。Both are not very good. So all leaders, future leaders, your job is to balance two. Okay, and create some. I have had the opportunity to talk to both Ting's vice president, whatever your title is translated into, they always Zhang. Zhang is very big to me, right? So see, they are all very good at all these things. Okay, creating vision, making decisions. You know, I really appreciate a lot of conversation with them. I learn a lot, you know, from thinking about foster leadership. Okay, that means when you are a leader, you need to think about leadership succession. Who will be the next leaders? Okay, not you finish your term and then you leave. So you actually, one of the biggest responsibility of a leader is to look at leadership succession. Cultivate next leadership team. Okay, give the people you lead examples, opportunities to lead every possibility. Not just to delegate to them difficult work. Okay, actually give them opportunity to lead. Foster leadership, enhance productivity. Okay, very important. Productivity is different from effectiveness. Okay, there's a word of efficiency and effectiveness. There are teams which are very effective. That means doesn't matter what they need to do, they will make it work. That's effectiveness. But to make it work with the least amount of effort or resource is efficiency. That's productivity. Okay, output divided by input is productivity. You don't want to input huge input, you just generate something. That's effective, you get it done. But you need output big and input small. That's efficiency, that's productivity, very important. Okay, so team collaboration needs that. Otherwise, you'll load down the whole team. After a while, the team members say, oh, we spent all that effort and we accomplish, although we get it done, but only this much. So you need to really incentivize people to measure effectiveness, okay, or efficiency for that matter. Develop human resources. I already said we need to develop people who can be a team member, who can be a leader of teams. Okay, that's very important. Okay, collaboration and leadership. I already said they cannot be. This leadership and collaboration, they cannot be separated. These are inseparable aspects of teamwork, and they cannot be solo acts. You know, I come to collaborate, nobody leads, I lead, nobody collaborate. You know, can you imagine leaders without collaborators? It's a huge vacuum behind you. Okay, that's all you can have. Okay, and vacuum can create, you know, tornadoes. You know, that's not if you're not careful. Okay, you can. I have had a lot of leaders I follow. They have good, creative, good ideas, but never get things done. Okay, so you leave a lot of vacuums behind you, and that frustrates people a lot. Okay, so I don't know how to explain how to balance that, but it's important. And all the team members should understand collaboration and leadership very well for the team to work well. Okay, so leadership, see, they follow some certain logic. Although I picked the five, when I pick those 5 items, except the last one, the first 4 items, I just put it randomly. But eventually, when I put this slide together, it becomes a system. It flows very nice. I don't know. It's a professional hazard. You know, I'm a system engineer, so maybe intuitively or subliminal thoughts, I just have to make them work together. So it's very interesting. So leadership now, right? So how do we make leadership? Some people just avoid it. Okay, I don't want to lead. I've talked to a lot of students. I try to create opportunity for them to lead and ask and also discuss how to lead. They say, oh, no, professor, I don't want to lead. I just want to follow whatever you tell me to do. I say, okay, even that, if you understand leadership, you don't have to lead, but you have to understand why a leader like that doing such things. If I ask you to do something, if you understand leadership, you probably understand better why I ask you to do certain things. You don't have to lead, but you have to understand a leader, why they lead in certain ways. Okay, so leadership, you don't have to be occupying a position like Zhangs, you know, big Zhangs. You still need to know leadership because then you can work better. Okay, we all have customers in our life. We serve someone. Everybody serves someone, right? So you need to know, even if you follow a leader, you serve the leader, you need to know why this leader is leading in such a way. Okay, so this is very important. So if you want to contribute, you know how to contribute to this leader's goal. If you don't understand, what can you do? That's not very much fun if you don't understand that. So you don't have to lead. There are certain things, okay, a leader should do, okay. in my opinion, this all, I forgot to say this, all these thoughts I put on the slides, I violated my own principle as a scientist. These are not scientifically conducted research. Okay, these are not the results from scientific projects. These are all the experiences from my subjective thinking. Okay, so we need to think systems. Okay, because you lead team, you lead big problems for a higher goals. Pay attention to details. I already mentioned. If you just think systems without paying attention to details, there's a vacuum behind you. People get frustrated. Making things happen, very important. Okay, we need leaders when there are changes needed. Okay, there's a concept everybody knows: the difference between managers and leaders. Managers, you follow regulation, follow rules, making sure everything works smoothly, making sure everything works. Okay, but if the organization doesn't need any change, you don't need leaders. But if your organization that needs change, almost all organizations needs to change with time. If you don't change, others change. You fall behind. So once you need changes, you need leaders. Because leaders enable changes. To enable changes, you have to make things happen, create something. Okay, and also need to get things done. Creating something without getting things done is not very complete. Also, by doing everything a leadership should do in enabling the team to succeed, that means everybody should be enabled to succeed. So the success of a team is based on the success of all the people on the team, or the other way. The success of the people on the team is based on the success of the whole team. Okay, so it's very important. So it's important that we lead, we follow, we support, we cheer, and we celebrate. And you have done all that. This is common sense, right? Sometimes you lead, sometimes others lead, you follow. Even if you cannot follow, you can support. Provide some kind of moral support, financial support, time support, cheer. Even if you cannot do support, you have to cheer, right? Go, go get it or something. And very important, we celebrate all the time. Award ceremonies, recognizing certain accomplishment, very important, because that motivates people. That's just good for the team. So those 5 things are very important for a leader to think about. You need to do all that throughout your, not every day. You cannot say in the morning I lead, in the afternoon I follow, in the evening I support. This is over a certain time period. Balance, analysis, and actions. I already mentioned that. Okay, you have the 模用 双全. Okay, share credits, very important. Okay, so how do you share credit? There's a story about publication today. First author, corresponding author. Why do I want to be the third author? If only two authors count as a lead author or the corresponding authors, why am I the third author? Think about that. Okay, so that kind of system has its own merit. I'm not saying it's wrong. It serves its purpose in some way, but we have to think bigger than that, because that system may restrict a lot of collaboration. People say, we're in the, there are ways to deal with that. If you create more than one paper, then people can, if you lead this part, then that balances it. There are ways to deal with that, but share credits, very important. Not just in real terms, even verbally, okay, even spiritually or morally. Promote system leadership, already say that, okay? So, planning for the future, we're moving along quite well. Okay, planning for the future, very important. I already said vision is very important for leadership. You need to know how to make changes, okay? Because that's when leaders are needed, okay? Now, to make changes, you need to have a vision, okay? To change to what? Okay, that is the vision. 5 years later, using your method, following you, what will you become? That's very important, right? So how to plan for the future? This is the whole study itself. Okay, so 2 parts: strategic intent and strategic plan are very important documents to prepare. Not the documents by themselves. The content in the documents are very important. For example, strategic intent is to capture essence of winning. Winning doesn't mean I'm going to defeat this, I defeat that. Winning is to accomplish something important. That's what we call win. Okay, so every organization needs to win something. Need to position yourself to have advantage to do something. That's winning. Okay, so intent meaning 意愿. I want to win. I want to position myself, our organization, to win in certain ways. Okay, so it's very important. An organization needs to think about what we are best at. So like 共教中心, 共同教育中心. What are we best at? Okay, what we can win, or what we must win. Okay, without that win, we just disappear. And we can win is on top of we must win. If we can also win that, it's better. Win meaning succeed in some way. Okay, very important. So intent is to say how we want to succeed, how we want to win, how we want to position ourselves to be competitive. Okay, so that's strategic intent. And also it's more stable over time than a strategic plan. Okay, because it's long-term goal, 10, 20 years later. Okay, it's a bigger goal. It's more stable. But so strategic intent sets a target that deserve everybody to work towards that by making commitment, because everybody buys in. This is what we want to go towards, and the leader should work with all the members. Every leader can work in her own way to create this intent. But the more you consult, the more you get advice, the better. I think buy-in is very important. Buy-in, people agree to do something with you. The strategic plan is a specific document that detail actionable information. So a strategic plan will work all the way down to what actions we need to take tomorrow, within 5 years. Okay, so both intent and planning are living documents. Okay, they do not cast in the stone. Okay, they can be revisited every year. Okay, to change. They are allowed to change. Okay, but you need to have at least to have something like that in your organization. Okay, how do we frame strategic plan? Okay, these are the things normally appear in a document of a strategic plan. Okay, you know that it's common sense. Core values, what we believe in. Okay, these are the values. Okay, science-based or certain things will publish most important papers and all that. Okay, vision is important too. Okay, we already say that. Okay, so core values are what we believe in as an organization. That's the true belief. Okay, that's value system. We don't do anything against our belief. Okay, what we aspire to be, that's a vision. Okay, we want to become 5 years later. If you are asked to describe your organization, how would you say about your organization? That's the vision, what we aspire to be. Mission is what we do best for whom. Sometimes for whom is implied. Okay, we provide best education in certain field. It's implied that to our students. We don't have to say that, but it's implied. But we need to say what we do best for whom. Goals, where are we going to succeed in the long-term goal? Long-term. Goal is long-term. Goals are long-term. Objectives are short-term. Sub-goals, objectives, milestones. To achieve a long-term goal, what do we need to do today? Okay, so if your long-term goal is to, once you are a freshman, if long-term goal is to enter a graduate program, then the short-term goal is to pass your classes with good grades. Okay, that's short-term objectives. Okay, so you can do that. A milestone. Indicator of success is very important. Then you can measure whether you have succeeded in the way you set out yourself to succeed. Okay, and actions. Actions is, if you want to make good grades today, what do I need to do? Okay, very important. So this semester, how do I study? How do I, work? Do I work harder or work smarter? Okay, so actions come with the indicator of success and objectives and goals. And the core values, mission, vision sets the goals. And the goals, objective sets the actions. Okay, so then, of course, you need to evaluate your performance once in a while, once every year, 2 years. And also you need to, if you think you need changes, because vision, mission, goals, objectives can change. If you change that, how do you manage the changes? Okay, how do you provide management skills to manage the change? That's where leadership needs. And then go back and then start to identify, two things I forgot to mention at the top. Normally in an academic organization, two things are very important: domains and competencies. Okay, so provost in the US, they are very powerful. They manage things. They are the thing of the things. They actually all the things, they hire things. So the things report to the provost. So some provosts will challenge the things or department heads. I have 3 departments. They all named the same. Bio something, bio something. This is a real experience. Okay, we had a provost. We have bio something, for example, biomolecular, medical, biological, agricultural engineer. They are all engineering, bio something engineering. Why do I need 3 departments like this? Okay, so how do you respond? I was department head. I had to respond. Otherwise, my department, I don't know, right? You don't know what can happen. So identifying domains and core competencies is very important. How do you differentiate your unit? Okay, academic unit. Domains, what you serve. Okay, what organization, entities, people you serve. Okay, what industry you serve, what kind of people you serve, in what technical area you serve. Domains, very important. 范畴, okay, 服务对象. Core competencies, what kind of skills and knowledges you need to have to teach your student, to do research on, to generate new knowledge. Those are the core competencies. Using the core competencies to serve the domains is what your unit is doing. So without that, it's very hard to convince people how you should sustain your unit. Okay, 2 things why you manage your unit. 2 things, more things, but 2 basically. One is how I sustain my unit, so it doesn't go away. Not that for the existence, for the reason may not be I just want to exist, so I don't want to go away. That's not the reason. The second reason is competitiveness. So I want to be competitive. I want to do a good job serving the domain, providing the core competencies, research core competencies, so I can stay in the game, right? So to sustain, to compete, I need to understand what domains and competencies of my unit. So if you can answer these 2 questions, I think it will make you better to explain to people what you do. See, agriculture and biological engineering is a very interesting field. We want to think we are important, and we are important. But just because our name, we belong to 2 colleges, Agriculture College and Engineering College in the US, both, full participation. So people ask, why do you do that? Why do you belong to 2 colleges? And what's the reason for you to belong to colleges? And sometimes, not our campus, but on many campuses, this kind of department is quite challenging. Sometimes 2 colleges may not want to support you. If you fall through so you want 2 colleges to support you. But how do you do that? So domains and core competencies is very important for you to convince the colleges you serve that you are important. Not only you can be as a good engineering department, also a good agriculture department. Also, I'll help connect 2 colleges and make new value out of it. So that kind of thing we need to think. And then how do you explain? You can say all this, but if you specifically say these are the domains we serve, these are the industry people we serve, commodity we serve, these are the core competencies. What kind of things we teach our students? We teach automation, how to use, how to create sensors, how to create robotics, and we create environmental. We study food, how to process those kind of things. You come together at the home. You are uniquely important. Okay, that's what you need. Okay, so this is planning, but the planning document will become outdated. That's why you need to go back. The big error. I found that big error to go back. Okay, so that's important. Now, graduate advisor-advisee relationship, very important, right? So let's change the subject a little bit, but they are related. Okay, they are actually related because without thinking systems, this is collaboration between advisors and advisees, right? You plan your future. You come to study. You want to get a degree, okay? And an advisor brought you in for a reason, because advisor's future also is counting on you to succeed. So these are all related planning for the future, very important. So let's look at that. These are common senses, right? So advisees, why do I want to study under this person, right? I want to complete degrees, of course. I have not found, well, not all the graduate students complete their degrees, but I have not found a graduate student coming in first day without a goal of completing a degree. I hope not. Okay. So you have to have qualify for future careers. Very important, right? I understand after this, it's not a degree itself, right? So in the US, when companies are hiring, they don't ask for diploma. They ask for diploma. They ask for transcript. Okay, they want to know specifically what you have done. Qualify for future careers. Develop and grow intellectual property. I follow Professor Ting, Professor Yuan, not this thing, but that thing. Hopefully, I grow intellectually. That's what my expectations. Receive educational experience, total educational experience. So advisors should not just teach whatever the particular specialty areas. They need to provide students opportunity to learn some other things. Okay, enjoy productive, pleasant work environment. That's reasonable expectation, right? Or even demand. Right? Acquire knowledge and wisdom through the area, and I will show you knowledge and wisdom are so important, especially to engineers. Obtain support and guidance from established mentors. That's very important. That's the that's the most important period of time that you can actually follow someone, and this someone cannot say no to you. Okay, anything you ask, this someone will have to respond. Okay, I always told my students. I tell you, especially undergraduate students, I tell you a story. If I go to a faculty member and knock on the door and ask for something, this faculty member can close the door on me. But if you, as a student, go knock at the door, this faculty member will open the door for you. Okay, so take advantage when you are a student. You are at NTU, such a beautiful, excellent institution with a lot of things to offer to you. So first of all, your bottom line is to get your degree, do your good work, get good grades, all that you know. But when you are here 4 years, 5 years, hopefully not 5 years, but go knock at the door of faculty. Learn something from the person, free. Okay, so explore that. I think 共同教育 need to encourage students start to go bother. All the professors they never talked to about before. Give them assignment like treasure hunt. We have this assignment. I don't know. You use that to treasure hunt. You have to go bother 5 professors not teaching you. Okay, and then record the questions, answers, interactions, and write the small 1-page thing, all of it. Okay, called treasure hunt, right? You go search for, like Easter Day, you look for eggs, right? Hunt those treasures. Not only faculty, maybe staff too. Bother them. That's one thing to go beyond you. So that's very important, right? And acquire knowledge and wisdom, obtain support, guidance, and also experience advisor-advisee relationship. Why is it important? If you want to stay in academia, one day you become an advisor. If you don't even try to make meaning out of it when you go through as an advisee, how do you become an advisor, right? So that's a very important experience. Next one is advisor's goals. We accept the student. We have our goals. We're selfish too, But we work for a unit that requires me to educate graduate students. But selfishly, it's part of my professional duty. It's part of my professional development also. So educate future human capital. Very important goals, right? You in academia, in business, industry, government, and society, you provide human resource, human capital to the community, to the society. Research projects. You all know that it's not a secret. A professor without graduate students, very difficult to conduct research projects. That's why we use money in the US costs a lot of money to bring in every year. You have to have a certain amount of grant to even bring in a doctoral student, master's student. So there's a mandate behind it. Form relationship in intellectual pursuit and scholarship. Okay, so this kind of relationship very good. Okay, so we can discuss something very creative, very interesting. Discussion between advisors and advisees are very important intellectually. Build teams and task completion. I have a job to finish. I have a project report to do. So hopefully we are a team and we work on that so I can complete my project. Future colleagues. I have many students on this campus. They are my colleagues. I ask them to help me whenever I need it. And they respond because they are my colleagues now. They are not my students. So contribute to successful graduate program. Your department head, chair likes to see this. We have a graduate program. We need to be successful, and you need to contribute. So you need to advise. Okay, without faculty, without advisors, with advisees, you don't have a graduate program, right? Establish professional network is very important. Eventually, it's a big network. It's a resource. Advisors' roles. Okay, these are for advisors or future advisors. Take a look, see if you agree. You don't have to agree. Okay, understand the difference. Advisor is a teacher, trainer, supervisor, advisor, mentor, letter of recommendation writer, and employer. Okay, we hire students. Okay, look at that. How do you do a good job? That the multiple roles you have to be, and doing an excellent job in all of that is not easy. It's totally not easy. You have to lead by example. All the graduates that you lead today watch you. They will observe you, and that experience will be in their brain for a long time. Okay, so lead by example. Hopefully, whatever you think is a good example, it's up to you. But whatever you do will become an example, fortunately or unfortunately. Okay, compliment jobs well done, pat on back. Okay, back. Good job. People need to be encouraged. We need to do periodic. I think there's a mandate requirement every semester. You need to do a review. So I don't need to get into that. Making it in a formality. Okay, so into a structure. It's management structure. Advisors help advisee develop soft skills. That part is not easy to do, and it's not done everywhere. Okay, advisors are more worried about how to do the research and write a paper and publish. Then I think that's the opportunity to help a person develop holistically. Okay, because you are more experienced as an advisor mostly, so this is where you can help them. For example, I know in the U.S. People may disagree. When the employers come to recruit our students, for example, they come to NTU during the interview, I don't need to question your technical skill. You are able to go into NTU, you are able to graduate from NTU. I have no question about your technical skill, but I want to spend the next 30 minutes talking about your soft skill. And that's where it differentiates who they hire. So soft skills are so important in their success in the future. You don't realize, but that's where, like international experience. Some employers, they start asking whether you have international experience. If you have nothing to answer, that's really unfortunate. So develop soft skills, develop holistic experience, not giving up the basic things. Okay, they need to succeed in both ways. Delegate and follow up. Okay, so delegate. Give graduate students opportunity to lead, okay, train them to be leaders, enable networking and success, okay, very important, all right? So that's important too. So graduate advisor-advisee relation, both sides have to do this, understand individual goals. The goals are not conflicting, okay? They overlap, not completely the same, but they overlap. Mutual expectations, make it clear. I expect you to do this. Clear communication, very important. Mutual trust and respect. Without trust and respect, it's very hard to keep a good relationship like this. Okay, it's a lifelong relationship. Some advisors and advisee relationship, after they become colleagues, they stay together for a lifetime, and some are very beautiful relationships. And each other's professional, personal experience, short-term, long-term relationship. Sometimes, hopefully, it becomes a long-term experience, okay? But I have seen some less fortunate cases I just want to finish degree, I want to leave. So hopefully that doesn't turn into that. Okay, that'll be short term. Conflict resolution is very necessary. These skills are very necessary because hopefully we don't have conflicts between the two, but if you can avoid it, you better learn something about how to resolve conflicts. Okay, celebrate success, that's easier. Engage social activities, that's within reason. Build teams, develop collegial learning environment together, very important. Okay, so those are the 5 things that I want to talk about before we close in the next 10 minutes, right? According to the schedule. I want to mention some closing remarks. Okay, these are the things I distilled a little bit from this. Okay, for example, build knowledge and wisdom is what we do. We build, we deliver, we empower. Okay, empower with knowledge and wisdom, the second one. Promote graceful effectiveness. It's so important, but people argue. I just want to get my job done. I don't care how graceful I am. I just want to get it done. Okay, that's fine. But it's just my personal thought. Okay, internationalization and internationality, 2 are very important concepts because all the campuses, especially in Asia, are doing internationalization. But I hope the final goal is to become, you don't have to, the final goal is to become international with at some level of internationality. Okay, that's very important. 国际性, 国际化, a little bit different. Traits and attitudes worthy of consideration is the last slide. Okay, build knowledge and wisdom. Okay, so we need to systematically capture, share, utilize knowledge and wisdom. 共教中心, okay, you have a lot of knowledge and wisdom how to conduct your business. Pass it on, document them in a way that's easily usable to train new people, easily possible to build on the success. Success breeds success. Being successful is very important because then you can become more successful. Okay, build knowledge and wisdom. I call it KW now. KW is kilowatt in engineering terms. Kilowatt is you pay. Kilowatt hour is what you pay, right? That's been talked about in Taiwan a lot. Electric power. Kilowatt hour is you pay, right? And kilowatt is the power. Kilowatt hour is energy you pay. So knowledge wisdom happen to be power. Okay, so itself very important. Build kilowatt is a continuous, knowledge and power is a continuous process. Empower with knowledge, wisdom. Okay, so information, knowledge, wisdom, very important. Okay, so success, intelligence heavily relies on information. So all the things we do today is data, right? Just discover facts. In the laboratory, I observe some phenomena. That's data. If you correlate data into a certain relationship, that becomes information, Y versus X or whatever and then you take information and teach to students, and internalize, put from external to their brain. We call it internalization. Become from external to internal, that's knowledge. If information gets into their brain, that's knowledge. Okay, and then effective use of knowledge is what we call wisdom. So a teacher minimally will have to be able to deliver data, information, hopefully knowledge. Okay, not just today. Getting information is not difficult. When I was growing up, who holds information? Just to know what happened, or even the data. Very powerful. Nobody else can get it. Today, getting information is nothing. But making use of information, put in your brain, so when you do something, you use it. That knowledge is important. Okay, we need to train our students how to use information, how to put in their brain. So naturally, they use the information to solve. Wisdom takes time. That's why we gray-haired people are still a little valuable, because we have experience. So we have watched a lot of knowledge gets used. And hopefully, in some way, not all the time, we know how to use knowledge more effectively. Our data information are lost. Okay, if short-term memory is not very good. But funny enough, our reasoning power stays. Okay? I don't remember many things, but I can analyze things. That's interesting to me. We need to, there must be some kind of science behind it. Okay, so very interesting. So wisdom is something, if we can get the wisdom delivered to students, that would be very, very nice. Okay, accumulated knowledge should be shared, knowledge wisdom. Okay, I talk about sustainability and competitiveness. Okay, so knowledge wisdom actually enhance that for organization. How do we define sustainability? In my very simple mind, is continue to do well. And how to define well is your group, your team. Your team decides what you mean by doing well. And then if you continue to do well, you are sustaining yourself. And then the other side of the coin is position yourself to succeed. I use the word win because English, they like to use win. Okay, winning is like all the sports. Have you noticed all the sports, they only value champions. There's no second place. Very interesting, especially in the US. Champion is everything. So it's interesting, but in Asian countries, you give first place, second place, third place, more, I think it's more, how do you say, collegial thinking. They don't, but in the US, only champion. The second place, nobody celebrates. Okay, for some reason I don't understand, but that's interesting. So position to succeed. These two are very important. Okay, now graceful effectiveness. It's very simple. Okay, the concept is very simple. Okay, there are many ways to get things done, and you know that. Collegial way and collaborating way is better in my mind. Okay, you can accomplish it in a very harsh way. I ask you to do this, you do it tomorrow. You still get it done. Or you do it a little more graceful, right? Gracefully is a different way. And personally, it's just maybe it's just the way I'm made up. So every member in the organization deserves to be in a productive and pleasant environment. So we need to create for our team a workplace that's productive and pleasant. Being part of the solution creates graceful effectiveness. We are human beings. We always face challenges. We make mistakes. So if something goes wrong in our department or in our unit, it's natural for people to sit together and start to air frustration. Allow that. Start blaming on people, start blaming on things, blaming on many things. Let that happen. But hopefully you have a team. After 2 minutes, people start to ask, how can I help? That's a very important sentence, right? We have already aired our frustration. Now let's be part of a solution, how we can help. That's very healthy, okay? If you just say, no complaints, that's not very, very healthy. So in a graceful way. A system level optimum is easier to achieve when we do it gracefully, because, command and control is very difficult to work at the system level. People don't always listen and do whatever you wish. Okay, internationalization is 国际化. It's a process. It's a method. Okay, internationality hopefully is something we want to achieve. Okay, it's to what degree you're international. You have asked this. Internationalization is to bring you to a high level of internationality, but defining that is difficult. Internationalization is easier to measure quantitatively. You know that, right? How many percentage of students are international, how many faculty we hire, how many papers we publish, collaborate international. But defining internationality is not an easy thing. So hopefully one day we'll have some kind of university ranking based on internationality. And someone will have, maybe NTU can develop that matrix. And NTU ranking of internationality, campus internationality, and everybody follows that measurement and then report ranking. Maybe UIUC will be the number one. I don't know. So that's something I think will be interesting to do, but that requires a lot of expertise coming together to develop that system. Important to carry out internationalization, but also explore definition and measurement of internationality. That's not easily done. Okay, this is the last slide of any good substance. Oh no, okay. So some traits. I just want to go through them. Some kind of 共勉, mutually encouraging each other to achieve. We are not almighty. It's very difficult to be everything. Quality work is very important. Be responsive, very important. Meet the deadlines, okay, especially for a student. Think globally, do locally. Honesty, integrity. There are two. Honesty is say what I do, okay. Say what I do, okay. You don't have to say all you do, but whatever you say should actually happen, okay. Now, integrity is the other way. Do what I say. That means if I promise you something, I deliver. That's integrity, okay. The other way, okay. Say what I do is honesty. Do what I say is integrity, okay. Simply put, the meanings are different. Teamwork, be part of a solution. We are collegiality, interpersonal skills, patience, make things happen, get things done, leadership, right? Enable people to succeed in the end. Enable everybody, including yourself and others, to succeed. These are the interesting traits and attitudes that I see in the 40-some, 50 years of my academic career. These are the things that people actually value. They don't say it, but they appreciate sometimes. And sometimes the people say that, okay? So very important. So I think my time management is okay. Thank you very much. So I already said, KW, knowledge and wisdom, is very important. And we are in the business to empower with knowledge and wisdom, hopefully for life, to make the world, because it's global environment, work well, better, together, smarter, and wiser. So those are the important things that future leaders, future people we educate should do. Well, thank you for the opportunity. I think we'll open up Q&A, comments, discussion, and interactions. But before that, I want to share one slide. I think this slide is very important to hopefully bring our discussion into meaning, especially for NTU. I've been looking at NTU documents, okay, especially through the 共教中心 self-study document. I found two things that really struck me passionately and deeply. The DNA of NTU, DNA, that's how we made up, okay. Once we go through NTU experience, 敦品力学, 爱国爱人, I think everybody should have that in their genes. We're not doing genetic engineering, but we're doing education. But in a way, that's intellectual DNA in you should be 敦品力学, 爱国爱人. Very important, very appropriate. It's good. And I found 10 learning objectives of NTU, thanks to the 共教中心 self-study document. These 10 things really, I really like this 10 because you look at all these 10. Before I prepare my slides. The reason why this slide was added, because I already prepared my slides. And then I found these 10 things. Wow, whatever I talked about actually match very well to this, some of this, not all the 10, but like 独立思考与创新 systems approach and thinking, 沟通表达与团队合作 teamwork, collaboration, international 国际视野 international global environment 了解尊重多元文化美感品味 hopefully most of these are actually covered. I have this DNA even from 50 years ago. This year I have graduated 50 years. Even from 50 years ago, 54 years ago, I came to this campus. After 4 years later, I carry this DNA, and I actually follow these learning objectives. I don't know when this document was prepared, but for some reason, all these actually reflected. So gene expression, genetic expression, you know that very well, is based on the experience. So the academic experience in the last 50 years helped me express the gene of the DNA of NTU. So it's very interesting to see. So really that makes me feel very, very, very good. Okay. Anyway, thank you very much again. This is the last slide. After the quick question and answers, I actually wish you a most productive and pleasant journey of learning and thinking. I think that if somehow my solo presentation for so long, especially during this period of online presentation, I hope in some way these are the things that will encourage you or make you think about some of the things other than the challenges we face every day today. Okay, thank you. Again, let's open up the Q&A. Yeah.
是，大家好，大家晚安。我是生技系黄振康老师。是 Professor Ting, thanks for your excellent speech. We all know that Professor Ting served as head of departments you ever worked with. Why did you decide to do so instead of focusing on your research topics, teaching whatever you want to teach? We all know that professors are quite independent and professors have to respond to students door knocking, but maybe not respond to the department head. This is my question. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Professor Huang, for the question. I did not plan to be a department head at all. Looking back, it just happened. I was able to be given the opportunity to be department chair head at various organizations. So I did not plan for it. It just happened by accident. The first department chair's job happened by accident. Okay, the dean came to me saying, we need a department chair, you be the department chair. I was an assistant professor. It's a small department. But I say, it's hard to say no to a dean. So I say, okay. So that's, and the second one, I was elected by the faculty to be the department chair. At that time, also the department needs a department chair. so they probably, I don't know why I was elected, but I was voted in as a department chair. The third one, actually I was recruited, okay, by a search committee from a different university asking me to apply for it. And because the chair of the search committee, I knew very well. And in honor of his request, I sent in an application. The next thing I knew, I became the final candidate. I got a job. And the fourth one, because of my alma mater, Illinois, came to me and asked me to apply. So I applied. So I didn't plan to be a department chair head. It's just a sequence of events throughout the years. It helped me do that. And then, regarding sacrificing time from research and teaching, I want to say department chair head's job on many campuses are the most stressful because you have department, faculty, staff, and you have deans, right? And your resource is not as big as anybody above department chair. It's not difficult, it's stressful because you have requests pouring different ways. And everything happened in the department, in the US, is your responsibility. So you can do that job easily if you don't think. When you have every problem, you want to optimize it. Finding a workable solution is not difficult. Okay, you have a problem, I find a way to solve it. That's not it's workable. But to optimize it, to find a way to solve it in the best way you think, requires some thinking. That's where stress comes in. Okay, and if you take that job, you want to do that. One advice is, as a department chair head, when you become a dean or higher, it may be difficult to do. But as a department head chair, you still need to keep your research and teaching going. Not because you have your responsibility. In the US, once you become chair or department head, you don't need to teach or do research. You don't need to. But you need to do that. On the other hand, you need to do that because you need some other things to take you away from being a full-time administrator. Okay, so continue your research, continue your teaching while you're doing department head and chair, and it's possible to do. And it's possible to do all very well if you learn how to manage your time, learn how to work efficiently, not just being effective, efficiently. So don't give that up if you want to be a department head and chair. Continue. You can continue your scholarship activities. And I forgot the third part of the question. Is there a third part of the question?
That's all. Thank you.
What's that?
谢谢林教授哈。那接下来是一位 代号是CGE2的，不晓得这位参加者是不是可以提问？
好，我可以提问，我在现场。
请你 identify yourself， 就是您是老师还是学生？
我是台大的教授，我叫丁诗彤。那刚才听那个丁老师的演讲里面特别提到，改变他人生的第一封信是从 University of Kentucky 寄给他的 admission letter， 然后他讲到的第二封信是从 UIUC 寄给他的 admission letter to Ph.D. program I think。所以我想大概第一封信是可能是这个美国的学校帮他开了一扇门，让他可以到新大陆去发展。然后他也在中间大学了很多刚才没有 share 的东西。那到 UIUC 是他的 professional career 的这个门。那我就一直想听到，是不是当初你在得知你考上台湾大学生工系的时候，没有这种感动，觉得可以到台大来改变你的人生？所以我的问题OK， 这是第一个问题是这样子，有没有感觉到台湾大学 NTU 是一个对你蛮不错的？那第二部分的问题是说，这三个学校分别给你到现在为止你想到的，他们给你学到最重要的东西是什么？你还记得的话？
要我记得是一个非常 high demand anyway I'll try。所以当然了，能进台大是我的第一goal，因为我们那时候考丙组是农和医，而且我记得的话，大概70-80个志愿可以填。丙组里面，我们以前的考试是把志愿填了，然后照分数分配。所有丙组里面的台大都在我的前面，我中间没有插过任何其他学校在里面，所以我台大丙组里面从医学一直排到。因为我们需要排嘛，志愿需要排，这也没办法，是谁是先谁之后我们排。就 to be honest， 农工系应该是我第12个志愿还是第11个志愿，所以我是一个进不了医学院的农学院学生。OK， 我 be honest， 但是我从来没有后悔过，因为农工系 get me started。OK， 我很奇怪，我不是喜欢用功的人，但是我到了台大，我发现。这个做学术读书这个东西呢，研究东西不一定要读很用力功去读，但是很有趣的事情。我以前有个希望，不知道可不可以讲，但是我没有达成。我从进台大以后不久，我就到处跟人家讲，我的志愿是当一个大学的校长。很奇怪嘛，非常奇怪。所以我朝这个方向走，但是我从来没有去，我连系主任都从来没去要求当过，但是只是我这个想法。我那时候想当校长，不是想当官，我那时候觉得一个大学的校长非常了不起。我以前不懂校长是什么，我也不知道他是官，我以为他就是 empower with knowledge wisdom for life。我觉得这个东西是一个非常 noble goal。我那才18、19岁，我就有这种想法。因为我当兵的时候还是跟我的同伴讲说，那我知道。我达成这个机会绝对是近于 zero， 但是我觉得朝这个方向很有趣 ，OK， 所以台大 get me started， 我可以这样讲 ，OK。那农工系当然我要感谢他，因为他给我4年非常值得回忆的这个经验 ，OK。那个18岁，我们讲这个 between 18 and 22 tender ages of 18 very tender， 我们那时候很 young 很 tender， 这个是非常重要的年。在美国很多捐献的人。都是大学毕业生，因为在他18岁到20岁，他会遭遇到很多迷惘，他不跟你讲很多困难。他哪一天跟一个老师，很多回来捐大钱的人，但第一个他有这个能力，第二个他想到在他18岁到22岁的时候，跟一个老师谈一个很重要的问题，一下子帮他迷惘解决掉，他继续奋斗，那个东西他积了很多钱。有这种 passion， 我们说我们要 produce grateful alumni。就是要感恩的毕业生，这是我们在台湾、在美国做系主任很重要的一个任务，就是我们的毕业生都很 grateful， 因为另外还是他会捐钱替我们讲话，所以这个我很 grateful to 台大农工系，所以这个是一个非常重要的经历。那这3个大学当然在我的过程里面非常重要，没有台大怎么会有 Kentucky？ 没有 Kentucky 怎么可能有 Illinois？ 这东西是 sequential 的。 对不对？也不是 parallel， 我没有选择。进台大 ，to be honest， 有点 accident， 有点 by accident 进入农工系，但是我进入以后 enjoy 它 very much。我不是 top student， 但是我 I did okay 。这是 Kentucky 给我一个信，然后 Illinois 给我一个信，所以这3个应该是串联在一起的。这个给我这个 formative 就养成过程呢，造成很大的影响。对，不管是怎么样发生的，造成很大的影响。它也是个 system， 它 interrelated， sequential system。还有第2个问题吗？忘了。OK。
那丁老师听教务长的问题，应该就是这样。那我说聊天部分的问题，接下来是问有没有回应啦。不过这个应该我来回答就可以了，现在已经没有回应了。那我想借这个机会，就是请问丁教授一个问题。我觉得您的经验非常的难得那也很丰富。那在就是 US 很多学术单位服务，那后来也到中国大陆的浙江大学去帮忙。那我想请问一下，您是不是可以就是比较这2个地区的学生那 in terms of 您今天提到的几个 major， 像 system thinking collaboration 等等，是不是您可以就是经由您的经验来比较这2个地方，美国跟中国大陆的学生的特质？谢谢。
这个问题一听就知道是校长级的人问出来的问题。这是一个非常 challenging 的 question。2个地方的学生都是非常好的学生，因为浙大在大陆也是顶尖，现在我们自称是第三个，北大、清大、浙大，所以台大当然没话讲了。这是那我们评估的时候都是龙头。台大什么都是龙头，只要你做一件事都是龙头，只要台大的名义，这个 offer 任何课都是龙头，公教中心的龙头。所以两边的大学都有很大的一个优势，收的学生都非常好，但是教育他们的方式不同。而且是应该就要不同本来就不应该，每个大学都应该不同对不对？台大跟这个其他大学在台湾也不同这是全世界的大学，大家都是世界性大学，应该都不同。这不同的方式有很多是好处对不对？就是说，我觉得有一点不同点就是，有点共同点就是大家都很不好意思问问题。这个是共同点，就是不管在哪里演讲，我在台大演讲很多次了，可能你们大家都比较年轻，可能不记得我过去好多年了从可能20-30年了，我开始到台大来，那时候农业自动化我就来帮忙了，然后后来到生产力4.0，那时候正好是丁教务长在那里有科技部办的，我还回来建议什么农业的自动化，所以我就，但是问问题的人很少。学生呢，刚才这个问问题都是老师，到现在目前为止，而且都是我自己的同事，这没有预备好的，他们很支持，我很感谢，但是这没有准备好。还有我的本家Ting，所以学生不太问问题，这是我发现对我们最挑战的教育者最挑战，因为你不问问题，我不知道你学到多少。我跟我的学生在美国，我时常讲。我们不知道在哪一个谈话谈到说，我教这么多学会来，我就要学到东西。我说你要学到东西，要学到好东西，学到对东西，你要问问题。你问问题问的越多，你学的东西越多越好。我知道你没有学到，我至少知道你没有学到东西，或什么东西没学对，对不对？这个要问问题，学生一定要问，这个是共同点，非常共同点。不知道为什么两边都是一样。另外就是差异呢，除了问问题以外呢，让他们开始表现的话，中国大陆学生的表现的方式可能比较强一点，就他们不知道为什么他们对发言没有什么阻碍，没有什么害怕。但台湾的学生很客气，他发言还要小心，他不止不问问题，你跟着他，你这2分钟你一定要讲话，他还是有点，所以说这个不同点，不知道从哪里的训练出来的，就是大陆学生你给他机会讲话了，他讲的 比较structure 比较深，但是这东西不是坏事，就是它差别很大，所以在其他方面的，我想学生总是学生嘛，但很多其他差异我们就不需要提，因为这东西我们可以私聊，但是很难在这个，尤其在这个 recording 的时候，并不是我不讲坏事，我是讲比较 unique 的，就有时候可能会有些 privacy 的东西，我不要牵涉在这个 platform， 对，所以两边的学生都是很好，进了这个两个学校应该都很高兴能够收到最好的学生开始教，但是最大的问题是，从问问题上面失掉很多机会去学得更好。说不定他们觉得不问问题他都学得很好了，也可能。对，这也没有 nothing wrong with that。但是我希望他们多问问题，然后多比较敢做事情。就是这个共通另外一点就是，到了美国是 hands-on society， 然后人大学里面比较不敢动手，不知道是怕把机器弄坏呢，还是怕做错事，这 concern 比较多。跟美国学生，我现在跟美国学生比了，美国学生你给他个东西，不管多贵，他先给你做，连那个 menu 都不一定看，他先给你做，各有好处。但是亚洲来的学生就比较不敢，马上动手做事情，所以动手方面需要多训练一点。
问一个简短的问题，刚才讲到一个很重要的国际性跟国际化的比较。那陈丁老师也提到说，国际性这件事情可以找一些指标来当成是评估这个学校的一个程度了。那我在想说，有没有哪些重要的指标是现在他可以有这样想法？
就是很重要的一个指标啊，就是国际化指标大家都懂，对不对 ？percentage， numbers， 没有 number 很难evaluate，所以大家要 numbers。国际性比较难，国际性呢一个很大的指标就是要 diversity， 一定要就指标quantitative。第二个就是你的 environment 要 inclusive， 就是我任何人到你这个 environment 能够 function， 比如说路牌啊、sign 啊、signal 还有 communication， 你如果说只用一种语言，大家不是共同语言的话，官方语言一定是那个地区的语言，那不能改。但是通用语言就是 common language， 应该是一个大家懂的语言，所以不然你不 inclusive 嘛。我每次都被评在外面，我看对不对？第三个要 welcoming， 就想办法要让人家觉得我在这里受欢迎。这个环境跟大家 equal， 也不要特殊，也不要特权，但是大家 equally being welcomed 很重要，对不对？不要很多活动只 welcome 你这个当地人，你就不 welcome。对，下面当然就要这个 pleasant 很难的，就是我过得很好，这个很难，对不对？那 productive 非常重要。productive 呢，就是说你看美国的很多大学都是国际性的大学，为什么？有个指标很重要。就是说我不管什么 position 开出来 ，faculty、staff、校长、系主任，一直到 pro， 全世界人都可以 apply。你 apply， 如果你被选上，不管你从什么地方来，你在那个教务长位就是教务长，没有说你哪个国籍的人不能做任何事情，对，这很重要。对，但是亚洲很多大学呢，很多不同国籍人不能占任何，这也是可以了解，因为你对这个 operation 的东西不熟，你做不下去嘛，这可以了解。但是你既然要雇这个人，你要让他去 fully functionable 在这个 position 上面，这国际性就很重要了。像美国很多大学可以做到这一点，我们很多校长从国外进来的，我们的系主任从国外进来的大教授，他进来也没有特权，你就是 expectation 什么都一样。可以 function， 所以这只是其中的指标，我们还有更多。我有一个整套是讲这个，整套 slide。我跟我讲，所有的这些 subject 都是一套。我今天是抽出来，给它综合一下。非常好的问题，谢谢。